Morning, everybody. Welcome back. Saturday in the shop, as usual. We are going to pull a project out of storage to get started on this morning here. It's a little quiet in the shop. Last few weeks, we've been getting tons and tons of rain here, so going to pull out a little side project we got. Picked up this little bobber. It's got a RevTech 100-inch in it and Springer front end. Just a little kind of clean, simple bike. Just needs a good going through, a couple of things adjusted, needs a sissy bar for the back fender, a couple other little things, and then this bike will be up for sale. So while we got a little bit of downtime, get caught up on some of these side projects we got going, trying to get it cleaned up and get it up on the market. So that's what we're going to work on today, get across the street and get it out of our storage warehouse and see if we can't make a little progress. Obviously, we won't get everything done today. We're going to have to make a parts list. We do need to rewire the bike. The wiring looked pretty janky. And honestly, I haven't seen it in about 8 or 9 months, so I can't really remember what else. But anyway, that's what we're going to do today. So we'll get this thing dug out and then see if we can't get a little work done, or at least a good plan on what work we need to do and get some parts ordered and such. All right, so back in the shop here, Matt ran across and grabbed the bike for us, rolling it in here. You can see it's a real kind of clean, simple bike. We're going to get it moved up here out of the glare in a minute, but I could not remember if this had a 110-inch or a 100-inch Evo motor in it. I was really hoping it was actually one of the 100-inch ones. There is no compression releases in it. I knew that, but the later 100-inch motors had the provision for them, but they were plugged. So unlucky in that regard. They are not. It is a 110, which is just going to take a little bit bigger battery and be a little harder to start. So anyway, we got it moved up into its little resting place for now. We're going to start getting it torn down. The wiring in this thing is an absolute mess, which also was not helping it in the cranking department. So first things first, though, Matt's going to get the fuel line off. The fuel is massively rancid. So we're going to pop the fuel tank off so we can drain that out. It's got looks like a 99-cent rattle can paint job. And that's just not going to fly for us. Even when we do something kind of what we like to call quick and cheap, we just got to still have these things look decent and be a cool bike for somebody to ride. So he's getting all this stuff cut off. He's going to get the tank off. He's going to pop the carb off for me so I can take it inside and clean it. I have a vague memory that I cleaned it when we very first bought this bike, but either way, that was probably over a year ago. Honestly, I can't even remember, but it was a while ago. So if I did clean it back then, that was all for nothing because then we left it to sit. So um, I don't know. One of these days I'll learn, I guess. All right, so got the carburetor pulled off, and I'm gonna head inside and see how nasty this thing is. So we're at our carb table where I do all my carb rebuilding. Pop the float bowl off here. I always lay out a little paper towel to catch all our small parts and keep things organized. So get all the little parts out of there. This thing was really quite nasty, but we'll get it cleaned up and refreshed before very long. And basically, this is a Makuni HSR 42. Pretty simple. We pop the main jet, the pilot jet, the float needle, the enricher valve, and all that right out of the body. And we'll take everything and throw it in the ultrasonic. All right, so we let this thing run in the ultrasonic for, I don't know, about an hour and a half or 2 hours. Pop it out and just going to get everything completely blown out and dried off. Don't have time to get the carburetor back together right this minute, but I don't like leaving the carbs wet without getting them dried off, even if we're not going to reassemble them. So while I was handling that, Matt's back outside getting all the wiring out of the bike. This is where somebody had mounted the old switches underneath the seat, kind of a ridiculous position. And like I had said, the wiring was just really junk. So they used one of those big screw contact terminal panels, which I can only imagine would immediately rattle apart with a rigid mount 110-inch motor. So anyway, he's getting all that chopped out of there and off the bike. We're gonna go with just a real simple wire setup on this thing. I mean, headlight, tail light, ignition, and charging system. Um, so first things up, he's gonna remake all the battery cables. They had some cheap wire. We like to run a real super fine strand copper wire, so they also had the ground cable grounding right to the oil tank mount. I like to ground the ground directly to the starter, and I like to run a nice big 4-gauge cable for the starter and the ground wire. Again, with these big inch motors, and this one does not have a compression release. I like to get all the voltage we can to the starter and give it its best chance of having an easy time starting when you're wanting to ride it. Once we got all the old junk wiring out, Matt's going to go ahead and start replacing everything with some nice fresh wires. We got to extend a couple of the wires because they had the switches mounted pretty close to the battery box, and we're going to have the on-off switch mounted off the top motor mount. So just doing a little bit of extension, and like always, soldering all the connections using marine grade heat shrink, which if you're not familiar with that, definitely check it out. It's got a little like gel that oozes out on the ends when you heat it and melt it down. That just basically makes a complete waterproof connection on your wires, which, yeah, we don't ever really want to be in the rain, but it always does tend to happen from time to time. So I like to treat a motorcycle as if it's going to be doused in rain as much as possible, just to prevent as much electrical issues from moisture as you can. So Matt buttoned up the wiring to the extent that he could, and went ahead and cut the old seat mounts off. This thing had a really heinous spring seat, which, if you've been watching for any amount of time, you know me, I hate spring seats. They belong on motorcycles under any circumstances. So found this little solo seat that fit perfectly, so we're going to go ahead and use that and call it a day here. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Got a good jump on the bike. Got some parts ordered. Going to change the handlebars. I just really don't like the super wide bars on the narrow bike. So we're going to get some new bars. I don't know exactly what those will be yet. Sound off and let us know what you think in the comments bar-wise. We're going to put one of the handlebar adapters on there for the Springer so we can run regular 3.5-inch centered risers. And it'll open us up to a wide array of bars. So let us know in the comment what kind of bars you would like to see on this. We got our battery ordered. We got some new foot controls, new throttle housing, just a couple little detailed things that are kind of crusty on the bike we're going to replace. Matt got most of the wiring knocked out. We're going to make a little bracket on the motor mount for the ignition switch. And starter's got a starter button built onto it, so we'll probably just keep it simple and leave that there. But that's it. We got the little sissy bar and or fender struts we got to make. Got to decide on that. Haven't decided on that yet. So also let us know about that. What you think. Should we just do simple short fender struts? Should we do a little sissy bar on there? And what color should we paint it? Also, this bike is going to be for sale, so if it's something you might be interested in, let us know. You could get ahead of time and you could pick the paint color and all that good stuff before we choose. So that's it. Appreciate you guys following along, and we hope to see you next time at Gattis Garage.